How are you doing? Just getting everything all set up here. Trying to figure this all out with having a separate computer so I can read comments. 1 second here. Fire this up. There we go. I think I might be comments on this one over here. Can you guys hear me okay? Just checking. If you guys follow me from over at Flip Aquatics page, Rob's page, Rob and I are really good friends. I presented him this last week about me possibly doing a live stream after him, and he said he's totally for it since we're good friends. I wholesale some JBJ products to him, like the Shrimp King products, so it only makes common sense. Because we all want the same thing. We just want the shrimp hobby to grow a little bit bigger. So, and I got my coffee too. So, let me see if I can see some, get some comments going on here. Oops. So I usually never do live streams, but I'm going to start doing live streams following Flip on Wednesdays. So I'm just going to go over and keep on moving this stuff here. So we'll have topics on some, and then we'll go over and we'll just kind of wing it on the other ones. We do have Aquashella coming up. I'll be there helping Flip out, and I'll help Eric Lucas from mypetshrimp.com. I might bring some things there. I'll be staying at the hotel, so come and say hi. I'd love for that. And I need to learn how to do this YouTube thing live, because I'm using my camera on this one. I got my microphone, and then I got my computer so I can read comments, because I think when I do it on my phone, I can't read comments if people leave them there. So I'm trying to get it so it's kind of like a live question and answer here. So let me just see here. All messages are visible. I think that's... Ugh. I think that might work. Let me just see if there's... I don't see any messages yet coming up, so let me see if I can go over and refresh this. And someone leave a comment, if you would, please. I will even write a comment. Let me just see. Play on TV, theater mode, mini player. Oh, there you go. I see. Oh, on the side, it looks different. Hey, Jared, it looks different on mine. So on my computer, like I'm used to like on my phone where the comments are below. Here's how the right-hand side. So that's nice. Hey guys. All right. So yeah, thanks for coming into my first episode. Last week I kind of tested it live by doing water changes on the Neocaridina tank. I can always do more. Even today we can do like a small little tour of the place. I just want to get more into the live streams, answering everybody's kind of questions. So if you guys have questions, you know, ask away. I can answer them at any time. This is my store. My store is located in Plymouth, Minnesota. Kind of break it down of how this all started for me. Back in 2017, I was dating someone, and they wanted a fish aquarium. So I went to a local pet store and picked up a 10-gallon tank, which I still have it all set up here. And I saw these little cherry shrimp in the tank. And I kind of went to myself and I said, who would ever collect these? And I started doing some market research on Facebook, and I saw there's tons and tons of pages of shrimp sale pages. And I'm like, well, you know what? I think I could do this. So I found a local guy, Jeff, and went to his house and talked to him about it. And the rest is kind of history. Started with 1 tank, then went to 4 tanks, went to 7, went to 14. Ended up having, I would have to say, like 60 tanks in my living room. So it's kind of set up like this. I used the rack systems from Mills Fleet Farm for it. Had an air system that ran across the whole thing and kind of had it set up kind of like how you see it here, until my landlord said that ain't happening. But I went over and was creating the Blackberry line. I saw a post about the International Shrimp Contest back when I was in Chicago, and I saw everybody saying, "Oh, I want to go, I want to go, I want to go," and I'm like, "Well, you know what? Maybe I'll enter one." So I randomly picked some blackberries, talked to Grant, talked to Eric, talked to a few people. Went over and entered the category, went with Jeff and his wife to Chicago. And just kind of reading all these messages back and forth. All of a sudden, I met Chris Luke up. I didn't really know anybody in the hobby. And all of a sudden, Chris Luke up pulls me aside and he says, you know, hey, the judges have made it their way around. And we're looking at you tying for first. And I'm like, I was super surprised because it's like, after all this time, it's like, you know, I only had 9 months into it, and all of a sudden, you know, I was tied for first for breeding shrimp. And then I ended up winning the category, and which was category 1, the Ninas. And then I just kind of became friends with Chris at the time. He asked me if I wanted to sample out one of his tanks, which is the 10-gallon tank up there, which I can show you. And I did that. Started my business online, put $300 in my PayPal account. And just every time I sold something, I just kept on reinvesting the money back into it. So this can happen for you guys too. You got to have your mindset to it. I kind of tell people, like, you know, hey, if you sold $1,000 worth of shrimp or any product, fish or plants, what would you do with that $1,000? And if I hear someone say, well, I would take some and pay this versus reinvesting in the company, that's where you got to start doing. You have to reinvest in your hopes and your dreams. And like I said, I start with $300 in my account. I do not use CO2 in my shrimp tanks. I know some people do. I don't. My shrimp tanks are basic sponge filters and just the water changes that I end up doing. Good morning, everybody. But yeah, that's how I got into the hobby. In about 3 years ago, I think it was, I got presented to be a part owner at New Wave Aquaria, which is a saltwater and freshwater store. At that time, I did it. We hit all the goals that we were going and exceeded the goals. About a year into it, Jen, the other owner, decided that she wanted to do just saltwater at the store. I'm a freshwater person. I always told her, I said, if you ever want saltwater, I don't think I could be here for the fact of you only can, like, I know about saltwater fish. I know about some corals. I know about how certain things on there. Do I know every name of every coral out there? No, I don't. So when you have a freshwater side at a saltwater store, the employees can get away with it because customers will be like, oh, hey, yeah, he knows about freshwater because they have freshwater here. But once you get rid of the freshwater side, everybody should be knowledgeable about the products that are at the store. It'd be kind of like having a saltwater person here working at my store. You know, they wouldn't know anything about the freshwater side, and people would be like, well, why is he here? So I kind of started on my own. I had this as a little breeding area here. Shut down for about a week. Built these racks in back of me with my friend Tyler, and long and behold, had a retail store. Opened it during the pandemic. So does CO2 hurt your shrimp? So what happens when you dose CO2 is you can have a pH swing. So you don't want to have too much of a pH swing. So if you're going from, when your CO2 shut off, if you're looking at a 7.4 and all of a sudden you start dosing CO2 and you're down to a 6.2, that's too much of a pH swing. It's all about being consistent with the shrimp. The less you do for the tank, the better. So some people have done CO2 in their tanks and it works just fine for them. I don't like the pH swing on them. Let's see. Have I heard of ISTA pH 5.5 soil? No, I have not. I have used the protobiol, the SL Aqua, the Brightwell, the Shrimp King products, the Platinum soil. What else have I used? I've used a lot of different buffering soils. ADA. I have not heard of that one. Yeah, CO2 does. That's the biggest thing is what you want to look for is when you're dosing CO2 is the pH swing. Too much pH swing can harm stuff. So also, guys, I did start a membership on here. I don't know if in the long run, if I want to do that or not. I kind of thought it was everybody else is doing it, so I'm like, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and do it. I can offer better deals. As time goes, I'll probably end up changing the deals and offering more stuff for the subscribers. I do want to do more behind the scenes videos about how to and product testing. Cause I do get a lot of products to test since I am sponsored by a few sponsors. So how cold can ship handle? So that's probably shrimp. How cold? Well, I've had shrimp all the way down to 62 degrees, and they did quite fine with me. They're a little bit slow moving. The biggest thing you want to look at is if you have it too warm. So at 76 degrees and above, there's a disease called muscular necrosis. It's a bacteria that forms underneath their shell, and when they molt and die, because usually they will molt and die, another shrimp will eat that molt or eat on the dead body, and they'll catch the muscular necrosis as well. So don't put your heaters in the tank. Keep it at room temperature. So like here at my store, it's 74 degrees, which the water is 3 degrees less, so it's 71 degrees, and they're quite fine in the wintertime. It does get down to 68 for the tanks, and they're quite fine with it. Thanks, Joe. It's from Taiwan day 2 in my cycles. Well, it's from Taiwan. So that's where it's different, where it's like if you have different buffering substrate. Like I've never heard of that before. I've used the platinum soil, which Chaz sells the platinum soil, which does get down to like 5.8s. But the thing is, what you got to look at is your KH in the water. So if you have no KH in the water, it should buffer down to what it says it's supposed to do. But if you have any KH in the water, KH is a stabilizer for it. So the more KH you have, the higher the pH that you end up having right there. So my screen is a tad blurry, so let me see if I can just tap my face and see if it focuses. I mean, it's an iPhone 12. All right, so Alan is asking me if he can put shrimp into a new tank. It's been inoculated with protobiol after only a week. Thank you, Joe. All right, so protobiol is a product which I can show you. I actually have it here. So protobiol has this buffering substrate, and then they have this Bacter kit, and they have this startup kit. So I like this whenever I start a tank. I always use these two products right here. So what it does is you end up putting soil in the tank, you put a little bit of water in there, you open this up, you put, this is the Bacter, you put one of this one and one of this one. This is for the soil, Nutrisoil and Bacter soil. So it's like the bacteria for the soil. I tell people to wait a half hour, then fill it up, and then what they do is they end up putting these startups here. So this one would start the cycle. This one right here, it's supposed to stop ammonia, which is supposed to bind with the ammonia. And then it's advertised that if you do it correctly the way they advertise it, so it's one set of vials per 15 gallons, which I just tell people 10 gallons. So each 10-gallon tank, you would actually have 4 vials that you have to put in there. So it's advertised that you would go over, I'm going to try and get this top back on here, that you can put live shrimp in there after 6 hours. That's what it's advertised on the wrapper that you can. Now, have I done this? I have done this. Back when you could buy shrimp off of Facebook, I was notorious for just hoarding shrimp. I would buy too many shrimp. I didn't have tanks set up, hence why I have all these 2.5s around. Every 2.5 is a shrimp that I went over and just randomly, oh crap, I ordered extra shrimp. And that's how I would start it. I would use the protobiol way. I'll put the protobiol soil in there. I did put a seeded filter. I let it run for a few hours. I did put shrimp. I did have survival with babies. I did have survival with the adults. So yes, you can do that. Just watch your ammonia levels. Like I said, the stop ammonia will bind with it. It doesn't take the ammonia out of your tank, but it'll bind with it. All right, let's see. Let's keep on going, reading down the questions. Got a whisper shrimp. Well, whisper. Gotta do this. Awesome, Ecuador. All right, so Eduardo Antonio wants to have. He's gonna set up 3 shrimp tanks. He wants to know about He's getting shrimp in August. He wants to know any advice for the beginners. All right. So my advice for beginners is patience. Have patience in the tank. The less you do for a shrimp tank, the better. So if you start having issues, don't chase the result to try and fix that issue. Find out what's causing that issue and fix that first. So I know like algae. Algae is the biggest thing where everybody's always chasing. Oh, I got algae in my tank, so I need to do this, and I need to do this, and I need to add this to it. I need to add this to it. And then something else happens to the tank, and then they're all freaking out about it versus how long do you have your lights on for? Oh, 14 hours a day? How about you lessen the lights so you don't get as much algae, and that'll probably fix the issue. Simplistic, that's the biggest thing for a shrimp tank. 1 second here, I got everybody calling me and stuff. It's just the less you do is really good. Like my shrimp tanks, I feed twice a week. Every once in a while I'll give them a treat and give them some powder food and everything else. But it's just a sponge filter. I do a water change once every 2 weeks, do my top off, and it works good. It just works. The problem you end up having is like my PFR tank right now, I swear there's like 1,000 babies in there. How often do you feed? And so I've been giving powder food just about every single day because I just don't know how often to feed. And that's the problem you end up having is once you have so many shrimp, how much do you feed before it's too much? Well, my sentiment is if you drop some food in there and you come back in a couple hours and the food is still sitting there, just take it out before it starts rotting in the tank. Am I perfect at raising shrimp? No, I'm not perfect at raising shrimp, but I'll tell you this right now. I've learned a lot in the past, and I've lost a lot of shrimp to start, learning from other people. When I started, I probably reached out to Grant, Rob, Eric Lucas, Eric Martins, tons. When I would have an issue, I would message them all the time. And then Eric Lucas started, like when we were going to shows, he'd start coming to the shows with me. So him and I really became really good buds. Usually at shows, you'll see us together. We'll sit at the booth together. We end up sharing hotels half the time too. But Eric has been like phenomenal with questions and stuff. I tell people like, I'm pro all these shrimp stores. My sentiments is every state has different types of water. And the water here in Minnesota is different than Ohio, which is different than California. So I always say find a local breeder that you trust and kind of copy what they do. Like in Minnesota, we have a lot of chloramine in our water. So you can have an RODI system, but what happens is chloramine will bind with ammonia and will bypass the RODI system. You have to have a special filter to take it out. So I always tell people, hey, for $2 more, you can get this extra a chloramine filter. It just pay the extra $2. You never know if your city's going to dose it. Yes, I do sell shrimps online. It's joeshrimpshack.com. Now, what I was saying is this is from what I heard, and this is what I learned. A city or state can dose anything in your tank as long as they don't do it 365 days in a row. If they do it 365 days in a row, they have to go over and let the public know about it. But if you randomly dose something in there, they don't have to let you know. Well, guess what? They're closed one of the days. We found out in Plymouth here that they dose chloramine. Thank you for joining. You became a shrimp keeper. I love it. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Is there an advantage of using the Asian style undergravel filter? Is it worth doing it, or is it just good to use sponge filters? All right, so I think I know what you're talking about. You're talking about the small square ones that you kind of sit in the back of the corner, you put the gravel, your buffering substrate in there. They basically did that for an easier way for them to manage their tanks. Because if you end up putting all your soil in a small area here and put it in the corner, there's less cleanup on the bottom. The problem you have with it is you can't fit as much soil as what you want, so they're constantly replacing the soil. Maybe it's like every year or even less. Unsure on that one. I just go over and I put, like on the black rim tanks, I fill it up to the bottom of the black rim, and then I run it like that. Now, I've had some soil. I have like contra soil, I have SL Aqua, I have all these different types of soil, and I'm just starting to lose buffering capacity on some of my tanks, so I'm gonna have to end up changing them all out. So it's one of those things where it's just like, is there a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it? there's many different ways to do it. And I thought about, I actually bought some of those filters that you put soil in there. And then I brought like 20 of them, have them at the store here. I took it out and I looked at it and I'm like, I don't really want to use this, because the amount of shrimp that I put in the tanks, if all of a sudden I lose the buffering capacity and all of a sudden I come in the next day and all my shrimp are dead, it's going to be my own fault. So I just kept doing it the same way. So it's kind of whatever's easier for you. Now, back in the day, they used to have these undergravel filters, and a lot of people still swear by them. I don't. What happens is you plug an air line into this long tube, and then it causes a suction. But what happens is all the food, all the poop gets sucked down in the substrate, and then what happens is a lot of times people won't clean their substrate well, and they'll have an ammonia spike because they'll move something around. I'm not for an undergravel filter. I like sponge filters. I like hang-on backs. I like canister filters. What worked in the 80s worked in the 80s. I'm gonna come in. It's a new era now. There's so many new things. Like everybody liked T5s before and T8s. Now it's all about LED lights. So yeah. So like everything back here, this is like I bought retail. So when I started my business, I already had majority of my products here, like all my tanks, my lights, and everything. I paid retail just like everybody else. And if I can do it, you guys can do it. And I'm here to help you guys. If you guys want to be successful at starting a business, I can tell you the way I did it, and it may work for you if you guys want to end up doing it. So a lot of stores, they get to know me because I do work for JBJ. I'm one of their sales consultants, and I do a lot of promotions for them. Like I work with Rob. Rob's going to be doing an awesome thing at Aquashella. I'll be at Aquashella too. Does Shrimp King substrate have? So the Shrimp King substrate have a bad ammonia spike. Mine has not had a bad ammonia spike. When I was cycling them and doing testing, it did the average ammonia spike, which wasn't that long, but I still used the vials, so I didn't see that much. Now I know, like I used platinum soil down here, and it didn't have an ammonia. It had an ammonium spike, which was different than ammonia. So the ones that have had a lot of ammonia spikes is like Contra Soils had a big ammonia spike for me. 88s had a big. Everybody knows 88. You end up having an ammonia spike for 6 months. Shrimp King, I did not have a big ammonia spike on there. Had the basic, week and a half it, and then I saw it drop down, and then it worked out fine. Now, we used a lot of Shrimp King at the contest because you don't get the initial ammonia spike into it. That's why I like using it. I like using all the brands that work good. The problem I have had with some substrates is there's a substrate in back of me that it's new on the market. I was supposed to product test it, and it has been working that good for me. I haven't had like baby survival. Haven't had. It looks like the soil's rotting. I've reached out to the person that told me to test it for me, and they're kind of baffled on it too. So I'm just not going to give no answer on it. I just won't be carrying that product. That's my motto, is like, if I use the product, I'm going to carry the product. If I don't use the product, I'm not going to carry it. Does Shrimp King substrate have? Oh yeah, I got to wait for this one to pop up. So have some coffee, guys. As a new plant farm with ADA, and the next day you could smell them. Yeah, ADA is notorious for having an ammonia spike. That's why aquascapers and people that are having a beautiful planted tank use their product, because it leaches out that ammonia, and the plants love it. I mean, I look at it this way: ADA, you're paying for the name. If you kind of look at it, if you're kind of doing, if you want to have shrimp, do you need soil that costs $80 some a bag? No, you don't need soil that costs $80 some a bag. I was like everybody else when they started into it. I didn't want to spend thousands and thousands of dollars on setting up tanks. I wanted to do it the most cost-effective way, and I basically, saw what I could get for an 8-liter bag, and that's what I got. So if you're going for like a plant farm and everything else, ADA is a great soil out there. I don't carry ADA. It's just one of those ones where it's a little bit expensive for a lot of people. So let's see the next message. Thanks, Joe. I think it could be the amount of soil I have in the Asian box filter I'm using could be too small. It needs more soil. Mineral water with salty shrimp. Yep. So that could be, I mean, you might need more soil. That's why I didn't put those filters in my tank. I thought it was going to be like a slick, like, woo, I put this filter in there. I can keep my tanks nice and clean it all up. And then after I got it, I took it out. I'm like, huh. I think I'm going to lose buffer capacity pretty quick with this. I'm not going to risk it. It would have made my water changes super easy. Have I ever tried using a potato to grow a mum on it? No. I have not done that. I haven't done that. Shoot me a message. I will do an experiment here in the store to grow a mum on it. Shoot me a message and I can try. I mean, I try different stuff. Like I have this creeping plant. If you guys know plants, all right, this is one. It's kind of like a creeping plant. I saw it all over like this fence. So I harvested a piece of, if anybody knows the name of this, please let me know. I'm going to try and grow some of this. I got a little sample piece of it. So I just want to go over and try different stuff. So if you guys know the name of that plant, please let me know because I just don't know the name. So, I mean, I've heard like potatoes are really good at propagating stuff because a lot of times you end up cutting it off, put toothpicks in there, kind of hold it, grows roots. You know, it's a lot of starch. So, let's see here, 1028. All right, there's a Polish guy who grows bacteria for a new tank with a piece of sweet potato. Now, I'm glad you brought that up with the bacteria. All right, so there's different types of bacteria out there. And I know if you have competing bacteria, they can kill off one of your cycles. And by what I mean is you have a lot of different bacterias. And like, I'm trying to think of an example without like bad mouthing a product and stuff. We had a situation where Trouts for Kids, where the DNR puts trouts in a kid's classroom. They get the little fingerlings, or they get, they get the eggs and they hatch them out and they become fingerlings and they go release them. Now, what we did is we set them up with the bacteria and everything to get the tank cycled. They cycled the tank. They had a chiller, so forth, so on. One of the teachers went over and was overfeeding a tank, and we said, well, stop overfeeding. Why don't you put some more bacteria in there, which we provided the bacteria. Well, what they did is they went to a box store and bought a competing bacteria that they suggested, put it in their tank, which didn't tell us they put it in their tank, and started a brand new cycle because it killed off the bacteria that was already in there. And it was a struggle for a long time until we actually found out what they put in there. And then the director of the Trouts from the classrooms sent them a message saying, hey, if you have any questions, you need to get a hold of X, Y, and Z, not these places here, because, you know, they're not paying them to do it. I mean, no offense to these big box stores, but a lot of times people aren't educated on when they work there about the pros and cons. Like, I go there and I see Caridina shrimp in a pH of like 7.8, and they tell people, yeah, you can do that. It's not ideal for it though. I've been using the Brightwell shrimp soil with my pH stays well. It's 5.5. I use RO. Yep, that's the whole thing. Is if you want to keep your pH down, you just got to make sure that there's no KH in the water. Now, I use for my remineralizers in the small tanks, I use the GH and the GKH. I mean, I literally, instead of using the small bottles, I just use the big bottles and I just refill my small ones. I mean, I do use this in my small tanks. It's easier. I wish more companies would come out with the liquid version of KH and GH. When you have this many tanks, it's so much easier to use a liquid version than it is to use a powder form. Now, my big tanks, I do use the powder form. I use the Shrimp King on that. I have one over and try to pre-make the GHKH in a solution and keep it in a bottle. It just was more easier just to have something that was already pre-made. So I'm letting you manufacturers know, if you have a liquid GH and a separate liquid GHKH where it's already combined, let me know, because I'm all about it and stuff. And SO Aqua made it before. Eric Martin's had the Blue Wizard and the Red Wizard. And then he kind of let everybody know that Red Wizard was discontinued, which was never the case. Red Wizard was never discontinued. What happened was they came out with a product called Cage Buildup. So it was a lot easier. You made more money as a seller to carry the Blue Wizard and the Cage Buildup, because now you sold 2 bottles versus just selling Red Wizard, the 1 bottle. When Eric lost his contract with SO Aqua or quit doing SO Aqua, however it may happen, Ultimate Nature Systems picked it up. I kind of let the sales manager know what to carry, like the Red Wizard, Blue Wizard, Magic Powder, certain products that sold good, and they coming out with a product line called More, which some stores carry, but I don't think it's as successful as what the Blue Wizard, Red Wizard was. I think if they would have carried the Blue Wizard and Red Wizard, I think they would have had a home run product. But you also have to keep in mind that they also had their own shrimp products there, so it could have been a way of them getting a product line but being able to boost their product line versus promoting another product line that could outdo yours. Looks like a miniature marijuana plant. Yeah, that one right there. That's what I thought when I first saw it too. But yeah, if anybody knows what this plant is, it was like a creeping plant. I saw it literally on what was it, like a fence, but it was creeping all up. Here's what the leaf looks like. So I took a little fingerling of it to kind of start it growing. It's got a good root system. You know, we'll say that right now. I need to get some soil and plant it. Maybe I'll have it grow around my store here. So, all right, is it okay to use tap water with shrimp? All right, so you cannot use tap water with Caridina shrimp. The reason behind it is cities will dose KH in the water because it keeps your water stable, so they don't want a big pH swing. Can you do it for Neocharidinas? Yes, you can. You have to use a dechlorinator with it. I use Prime if I do that. All my tanks are RO water. The reason why I do this is because I don't want the city to dose something in the water and not tell me about it, and then all of a sudden I'm kind of stuck with it and it's in my tank. So I do everything with RO water, and I remineralize to what I want on there. I always push people for that because, like, here my store is in Plymouth, Minnesota. The water here is crap. Like, my RODI filters I change out just about every single week. It gets clogged up that much with the stuff here, and I don't agree upon it. So I like doing this, what I need to do to make sure it's healthy. So I use RODI water. I got my big bucket right here. I don't pre-mix my water. I take my water down 25%. I put the RO water back in there. I use my TDS meter with my remineralizer, and I remineralize what I need to get back my number. I have the 2 numbers back here. Like for my Neocharidinas, I keep the pH between 7 and 7.8. TDS between 220 and 300, which is a GH of 6 to 8 and a KH of 4 to 6. My Caridinas, pH of 6 to 6.5, GH of 4 to 5, which is a TDS of 115 to 130. I have no heaters in any of my tanks. So also looks like a coral plant, but I still think it could be a wisteria variety. I have a buddy that does a lot of plants. I should ask him. It doesn't matter what type of dechlorinator you use. A dechlorinator is a dechlorinator. Another way that you can do it too is if you're going to do a water change, you can put water in your bucket or changing system or whatever you're going to do and let it sit out overnight. The chlorine will evaporate overnight. I've used the Brightwell dechlorinator. I've used the Prime as well. No, a lot of times when people come to my store, it's always the same questions that I get. You know, what is the water parameters? Well, that's why I end up making signs so I can kind of like point to them. A lot of times people, I'll be like, do you dechlorinate? And they said, oh yeah, I dechlorinate. Am I perfect? And then this is what I hear. I have an RO system, and I'm like, well, do you remineralize? Yes, I do remineralize. I'm like, what do you remineralize with? This, and they hold up a bottle of Prime because it's not a remineralizer, it's a dechlorinator. And that's the thing is like, I just want people like, if you come into a store and you're getting into it, ask the questions. You know, ask what you need. Like me, I'm not going to sell you anything that you don't need. You know, I'm not going to oversell you. I've done it where I've told people, yeah, you don't need that, don't even buy it. You know, if you're going over and setting up a tank and you're like, oh, I want tons of plants, but you only put a Nubius and you put boost in there, and that's it. Am I going to sell you a fertilizer? No, it's not needed for it. Am I going to sell you fertilizer if you get a bunch of stem plants? Yeah, I'm going to sell you a bunch, but I'm going to tell you a lot of different fertilizers that are out there. I carry a couple different ones. Is there any better than anyone else? The biggest thing is like if you're going to have shrimp is no copper. Just watch the copper content in there. If there's type of copper in there, look at what type of copper it is. I carried a brand for a while until I kind of got screwed over by this company on their products, so I won't carry their products anymore. But there's other products that I do carry. They're all-in-one fertilizers that work good. I have Tyler Volks from Liquid Gardens. He's got an EI method. I've been using his stuff for 5 years. It's a great product. It's on the website if you like doing the EI method. Why I like doing the EI method, if you do a planted tank, is let's say you have a phosphate deficiency. The EI method, you can basically go over, let me get a box right here, I can show you. The EI method, what you can do is you can grab a specific amount and you can dose your tank with it. So, this is a product from Liquid Gardens. It's this EI method. It's got the different salts in there, which measuring spoons and everything. It's a great product out there. I always tell people, you know, what's good about this is Tyler's in Minnesota. So if you have questions, he can answer the questions for you, and I can also answer the questions for you as well. What he did is, I told him that he originally screwed up because the average person, if you have a 10-gallon tank and you buy this box right here, you're not going to have to buy any more fertilizers for over a year. I have a 5-gallon tank at home that I end up using this fertilizer on, and I've had it for I've had the fertilizer box for 2 years. It's just there's a lot of fertilizer in here. So he has got a great product. I wish he would have went over and made his product a little bit smaller so you have the resale of a customer coming back in. He does have the Pro package, which refills the bottles, I think it's like 2.5 times for the same price. So this is only like 20 bucks. So it's a great product out there. Let's see what else I'm in. All right, what parameters do I keep my Orange Eye Royal Blues at? My Orange Eye Royal Blues, I keep them at Caridina parameters, pH of 4 to 5, TDS 115 to 130. I think my TDS for my Caridinas right now are all at 120 right now. I keep all my Tigers at that. I know you can keep them at Neo parameters, so you just have to cycle them down, or not cycle them down, but acclimate them down to it. I know a lot of the contests, so I set up my stuff usually by the contest. So usually contest Tigers are in Caridina parameters, so I keep mine in Caridina parameters. My hairstyle is good. I'll tell you this right now. So every Monday, okay, I go to a spa. It's called Hammer's Hair Lounge in Monticello, Minnesota. It's cool. I get an appointment at 11 o'clock. The owner literally straight edge razors my head, my face, all the way up to the neckline here, trims my goatee, does a exfoliating black mud mask. It's kind of funny. I should do a live one day when I'm there. And then when that's done, I get a massage hair wash. It was kind of funny. The first time I went there, she's like, hey, I'm going to go wash your hair. And I'm like, what hair? But a massaging head wash, I know it's like really shiny. I should put a hat on. And then goes back and gives you your next show. So it's like 2.5 hours I'm there every Monday. And it's only $40. $48, I think it is. But I always tip her a lot more than that because I value it a lot more because it's relaxing for me. I shut my phone off and I kind of just sit there and I just relax. She's building a new building there, which is going to have a VIP section, which serves alcohol. I don't drink. All you guys out there, I don't drink. But I will tell you this, I found this product, it's called the Heineken Zero. I do like that. There's zero alcohol in there, so if we go someplace, I'll have a Heineken Zero with you. I asked about the Orange Eye Royal Blue Tigers because there are conflicting recommendations. Rob at Flip, who I love, has an old version of the... Yep, so tigers you can put in different parameters. You can put them in like Neo parameters, and you can put them in Caridina parameters. At a lot of contests, the tiger category is at the Caridina parameters. So it doesn't make sense for me to go over and, I run the international shrimp contest to go over and keep my tigers at a Neo parameter if the contests are having it at Caridina parameter. So I've always kept it in Caridina. But all you have to do is acclimate them down. So you just have to acclimate them slowly down to your Neo parameters, and it does fine. You can keep them in different parameters. It's the one type of Caridina that you can. What's your topic? My topic right now is just a question and answer. Today's question and answer. And please, I will take anybody's ideas of what you guys want me to do the next live. It'll be next Wednesday at 10 o'clock after Flip gets done with his. I'm very thankful for Flip Aquatics for allowing me to follow him. I know it's not really, I didn't really need his permission, but him and I have been friends to a point where I went to him and I said, hey, I've been mentioning it for a while, but why doesn't YouTubers ever help each other out by, pushing another brand after them? It's not competing with you guys. I don't consider Flip competition for me. He doesn't consider competition for me. We're both friends. We're both good buddies and stuff. He does his thing. I do my thing. And it works out for us. And he basically said, hey, let's do this. Hey, Mark, what's your favorite shrimp you have in stock right now? Oh, okay. Let me get this to the one right here. Do you think it's going to be a trend for shrimp this fall? Oh, so I'll get you in a second, Mark. All right. So I had something where someone asked me at one of the international shrimp contests what the trend I thought was going to end up being, and I gave an idea, and that ended up being the trend. It was like 2 years in a row. What do I think the trend's going to be like this coming year? All right, so the Royal Blues had their fate. Everybody was crossing the orange eyes for the longest time with yellows and stuff. The Fancy Tigers, the Boas, everybody's done their thing with that, and it's been going good. People are doing wild shrimp for the longest time. I'm thinking a new trend this coming year. I'm gonna probably say it's gonna be more of the Galaxy fish bones and the boas. More people are getting into patterns from what I have noticed. More people are coming to my store and asking about the patterns on shrimp, how they produce them and stuff. Everybody's done the crossbreeding of the oranges. Like Ray Haas, great breeder, crossbred orange eyes with just about everything, and it works great for him. So yeah, I saw Akash had a bunch of stuff in there. Now, Mark, thank you for giving the $5 super chat. I appreciate it. What's my favorite shrimp I have in stock? It is my boas. I've always been a boa person. It's up in this upper tank right here. I will actually drop a pellet in there and bring my camera up there in a second so you guys can see it. But I've always been a sucker for boas. So, oh, there's already still some in there. So, try and get let me get an adult for it, and I'll show you. I've always been a sucker for boas ever since day one. So, there we go. Get this over there, get this over here. Now, what happened was I had so many babies in this one, I put them down in the tank I was sampling, and I started having a couple random deaths. So I had to move them back to the upper tank. It's sad that, I lost probably like 8 shrimp in that bigger tank that I was sampling. Something was getting released in it. It's been cycling for 6 months. Let's see. Hi, Joe. I tried breeding PFRs. I bought from you over 10 months of breeding and no culling. I observed that 3 out of every 100 shrimps become PFR quality. Normally, what's your experience? All right. So what I end up doing for like the PFRs is painted fire reds. It's the high grade of cherry shrimp out there. It's all about choosing the right male that you have. I mean, if you have a lower quality male with a bunch of high-end females, your quality is going to end up being lower grade. Also look at different types of like the cage in the GH. I know a lot of people say that it doesn't affect it, but I've seen it affect where someone had too high a cage and they were more clear. Also get fresh bloodlines. I know that a lot of the breeders, everybody's like, well, these people in Taiwan, they're breeding the same bloodline for years and years and years and years. But guess what? That they do add a different male in there because the male's not living for 20, 30 years. It's you know, they have a bloodline that's really good, but they strengthen by putting another male back in there once the other one gets older and stuff. I mean, you just have to look at the concept of, you know, if you have a clutch of babies and I'd say 90% of them start going all clear, switch the male out. Try a different male. See if there's a stronger male out there. Is it okay to keep red and black boas together? I don't. So on my fish bones, I do. My fishbone galaxies, I do. My boas, I don't. My boas, I keep all the black lines in there. So it's the concept of a black gene and a red gene. So you get a black female and a red male. They breed together. Now the babies that are going to come out are either going to be 50% red or 50% black on there. But the problem you end up having is, yes, you have a 50-50 chance, but now you take their generation that have already been born and you breed other stuff in there. Now the number starts going down. So it's not like a very pure line on it. I like to keep my lines pure. So like my boas, it's always going to pop out that black genetic in there. All right. Hey, Joe, was there a reason why you didn't go full sump system? Yes, thanks for asking. So all my tanks are individually run. The reason I don't do a full sump system is, let's say you have a disease. So a disease gets in your system. If you have a full sump system for a whole entire rack, like the Mars units at a lot of fish stores, everything's going to get sick. Let's take, for instance, the big box stores. Look at the big box stores. They're a big full sump system. What happens? One fish gets sick in the top tank, all the fish start getting sick in there. And that's what I just don't want. If I have a tank that has a disease in there, it's in an individual tank, it's easier to treat where I can just wipe down the whole tank and start fresh in there. Have I gotten, like I carry fish here too, have I gotten, you know, ick from wholesalers? Yes, I have. I get very upset with it because I actually do wipe my whole tank. I take all the substrate out, I throw the filter away, I drain the tank, I wipe down the tank, and I start fresh. I'm all about, you know, making sure people get healthy products out there. Have I ever talked to Lucas at LRB? Yes. LRB Aquatics. Lucas Bretz. He actually came up here right before the pandemic. He did a tour. So if you actually go on his page, you'll actually see. I think we got like 15,000 views on there. He actually came here. It was funny. So we flew him up here to talk. Him and I hung out. It was really cool. He had to go to his flight, but he wanted to do a video here. We cut it down to, you're supposed to have 2 hours in Minnesota here to get to the airport and go through your stuff. We cut it down to 22 minutes. By the time I got him to the airport, he had 22 minutes to get to his plane. So Lucas Bretz is awesome. I love him. They call him the Aquatic Jesus. He's a great person. Thank you. Hey, Papa Shrimp. Hey, thank you, Ohio Millennials Mom. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to help you guys be successful. So if there's anything that I can do to help you guys or tell you my way of doing it, there's a lot of ways to do it. Is Flip's way correct at doing it? Yes. Flip's correct at doing his way. Is my way correct? Yes. Is Grant's way? Yes. There's a lot of people that do it different ways, and it's successful for us. Like I said, find a breeder that you trust that's by you, because it's all about the water. You know, my water here is way different than it is in California. So that's what I would say is follow what they do. Now, there's some people ask me, why is there so many shrimp breeders and sellers out there? So I want to hit this on the head. So back when I started, there was a few. You have the major players out there. You always had the major players out there. You had Grant, you had Flip Aquatics, you had Eric Lucas out there. You had Jose Guerrero, or not Jose Guerrero. Jose was out there. I'm trying to think of some other ones that were out way back when. And they did great. So what happened is you had a fluctuation. People would be like, dude, I'm going to start this business. And all of a sudden people would start, I'm going to start the shrimp page. I'm going to start do this one. I'm going to sell shrimp here. And all of a sudden you go from having 4 major sellers to having 30 of them. And now these major sellers were like, oh my God, there's so many shrimp out there. But guess what? 6 months would go by and those people that started would start falling off. Because it does take a lot of time and effort and money to successfully do this. If you want to be successful, it's all about taking the baby steps and in believing in yourself and in investing into yourself. Through the years and stuff, there's been consistent, like Flip's always been there. Grant Eater from the Garden Eater's always been there. Eric Lucas has always been there. I've been there because no matter what happens, when people start their business, it's all about what they do with their profits after the fact. Now, if I get, let's say I do $2,000 in sales. So let's say I did $2,000 in sales. I take that $2,000 and I put it right back in the company, either buying more livestock or getting something else for the store. I don't look at that $2,000 saying, boom, I can take $1,500 of it, go buy something I want, and then do this. I do work. I do work for JBJ. They pay my bills. I sell their products for them to the retail stores. I set up wholesale accounts for them. That pays my bills. Every penny that I make at the store here goes right back into the store. I have heard that if you cross crystal shrimp with Taiwan B and they cross F1 babies, TB, that makes the Taiwan B stronger. So they have Thai Bs out there. So Thai Bs is mixing the tiger category or the tiger category with the Taiwan B. Now, some people say, if you have a crystal shrimp and you mix it with the Thai B, it makes the Taiwan B stronger. So it depends. So like if you look at like a PFR, not a PFR, a PRL, a pure red line, and what are you gonna mix that with? You're gonna mix that with a, let's say a snow white. So you mix the snow white, but you're adding a red genetic into a white shrimp and stuff. Now, what can happen is you can get some cool patterns like, was it the K? Is the K14 or the K24 where it's the clown smiley face? I had some here at the store. I didn't advertise that I did. I sold my Snow Whites, but I showed the people after the fact on there. I don't like mixing my bloodlines. If I have a crystal red, I keep it as a crystal red shrimp. If I have a blue bee, I keep it as a blue. The only ones I do mix is my BKK and my shadows, because it takes a blue bull to make a shadow panda. I have 11 tanks with shrimp from LRB and raw. What would you recommend from your stock? So I do need to work on my website more and keep the numbers up to date on there. I'm glad that you're supporting LRB and Flip. Best thing to do is like shoot me a message. I'm on Facebook Messenger. You can shoot me a message of what you're looking for. I have a lot of different varieties. I have 75 different varieties of shrimp right here. I'm all about supporting everybody that's out there. I have other products that are out there too. With tap water, should you use fertilizer? It depends if. So Alan Tooth, I'm gonna look into it more for you too. So I never mix any of my stuff. What I'll do is I'll look more into it and I'll key up on this probably in my next one just for you, Alan, because I know you paid to ask that question on there. So I'm not forgetting about you. With tap water, use fertilizer. So if you have a lot of stem plants in there, I would use a fertilizer. Just look at what type of plants you end up having. If you have like I said, anubias and mosses, you don't need to fertilize that tank. Your livestock should have enough in there to feed those. Yeah, I mean, everybody pretty much we all watch the same YouTubers, so it's like we got to kind of look at that. I have a 20 long that I pulled all my fish bones. I want to rescape and restock little breeding products while I recover. I really like blue tigers. Thoughts, Joe? So let me read this again. I have a 20 long. I pulled my fish bowl. Oh, so you want to do a new tank and you want to do like the blue tigers, like the orange eye royal blues. I love the orange eye royal blues. So when you have the orange eye royal blues, you can get some calls out of there. They're a little bit more clear on there. I just put them as my blue tigers. They're super phenomenal. Now, if you're ever going to mix genetics, let's say you want to get the orange gene into other genetics, mix the royal blues with the dark color shrimp. Don't put like orange eye royal blue and mix it with the yellow King Kong. You'd want to do the orange eye red tiger for that one. Kind of keep the lighter colors with the lighter and the darker with the darker. The problem you end up having is when you do a dark shrimp and you have dark buffering substrate, the only thing you can see, I have it in this tank here, is the little orange eyes. You can't see anything else. So I would recommend doing a brown substrate like Brightwell does have it. It works out great. I'll trade your print work for shrimp. Papa Shrimp, there's an idea right there. I did just get a bunch of Papa Shrimp. Let me see if I can find it here. Did some autograph cards for me. We can find them here. I'll show you guys for when I go to shows. So I'm part of Fish Tube, and we have this little Fish Tube booth. We do autograph sessions. So this is what they end up doing. This is my first one. This is Chris Lukup, good buddy of mine. This is Doug. He was Jen's husband at New Wave. This is when Chris came to Minnesota. We kind of chumped it up. And then I decided to do another one, which is just me writing on. This is supposed to be my my Blackberry that I won the contest with. The guy that did this cartoon, I mean, even the tattoo, it's like all identical. So I love this. There's a possibility there, Papa Shrimp. I know a lot of people. So a lot of people don't have Facebook because because I always tell people follow me on Facebook. That's where I list my specials, etc. And people are like, I don't have Facebook. I think if I didn't have Facebook, I don't think I would be as successful as I was. I use Facebook as my huge platform for my video posts, my sales posts, and everything. It's been very successful for me. JoeShrimpShack.com is my website. On there, you can always message me, and I answer the questions for you. I already have that one membership. Thank you very much. I started this new membership thing, so you would get 10% off on that one. I saw his interview with the Aquarium Co-op. He's a cool. You mean Shrimp King? Yep. So Chris Lukup is no longer with Dennerley. He went with another company. He was the spokesman for Dennerley. He was the Shrimp King on there. They're deciding what they want to exactly do on this one. I love Chris. Chris and I will always be friends. I support everything he does. I remember watching the video with Corey on there as well when they went to Israel. It worked good, and it's just during the pandemic, certain things, Chris wanted to travel wasn't permitted, so he went to another company. It's okay. I love Chris. Chris, if you're watching, love you, man. I do still talk to him. So thank you, Ohio Malone's mom. Thanks for joining and subscribing. I greatly appreciate it. So it's 2 subscribers. I love it, guys. I will keep on doing videos. Like I said, on the memberships, I will be changing things up. I'll probably make the things better as you subscribe and watch and everything. I don't know. I want to benefit you guys. So also love. I know how we could get JBJ tanks at our store. Would love to offer JBJ as a yeah, Pop Shrimp. Tell you this right now. If you want to get JBJ products, whether it's Dennerley products like the Shrimp King products or the JBJ tanks, reach out to me. I can set you up a wholesale account and send it to you guys. Now is the perfect time to actually support local fish stores, everybody. This is the reason why. When products were coming in from overseas, a container would cost $7,500 to bring from, let's say, China to America on there. During the pandemic, what happened is the shipping prices went from $7,500 to $14,000, which raised the prices. That's when the initial cost, people raised the prices up on products. Then you had when Donald Trump did the whole anything from China is going to get a 5 to 10% increase on there. Now, in the past week, a container went from $14,000 to $20,000. So there's going to be another price increase on top of that for products coming in. Now, it's going to be tough for local fish stores to go over and try and stay afloat because they don't incur the cost for the container coming in, but what happens is the wholesaler incurs the cost, and then what they do is they raise the product for the retail store. So when the product price gets raised up from the retail store, they have to raise prices for the end consumer. But you also have to look at the shipping from the wholesaler to the retail store. JBJ offers free shipping at $3,000, but there's companies out there that do not offer free shipping, and their shipping prices are super expensive, like $500 a pallet. So the stores are eating the cost on this, which that's why they have to raise their price. In 5 years, I have never had to raise my price until like a couple weeks ago. I did raise the price a little bit on Neocardinas. I had to. I was eating the cost. The shipping, it was just killing me. I had to do it to stay afloat, to pay my, to pay the bills at the store here. So I'm sorry if I had to raise the price. As soon as the shipping prices go back down, I will lower my price back down. Guaranteed. I'm not going to be like the other people that keep the same price. I also love to know, yep, so Papa Shrimp, reach out to me. I can get you set up with a JBJ wholesale account. To be fair, for us non-Facebook users, still found him on YouTube. Yes, Hamster, thank you very much. You did find me on YouTube, not having Facebook. I did not advertise this live stream on there, so I'm going to do more advertisement on there. Trust me, if you guys know how to do these like live streams and do this cross-platform with the live streams from YouTube to Facebook, reach out to me. I have no moderators yet. Where'd you get your racks and your shelvings? What size tanks do you prefer? And are gobies okay with shrimp? It depends. I have some panda gobies here. They will hunt down your shrimp here. Every shrimp has a different personality. What size tanks do I prefer? What kind of racks? So if you're gonna do like the basic rack at your house, I did the Home Depot rack, which is like a Menards special out there, which I can show you a picture on this. I end up building these racks right here with Tyler Volk, a good buddy of mine. I have 2.5s up top, I put the 5.5s in the middle, and I put the 10s on the bottom. Now I'm thinking about upgrading the 5.5s to 10-gallon tanks, so I can put more livestock in there. I've had up to 200 shrimp in the 2.5s. It causes more water changes, and I'm a one-man band here, and if it was just shrimp, I could do it all myself, but with all the fish tanks and everything, it gets kind of busy for me. All right. So what I'll do is I told you guys I was going to show you, I told Mark I was going to show him my favorite shrimp. So let me just go over and do that. Let me turn the camera around. There we go. These are my boas. I love these boas in here. So I'm working on putting the blue metallic in them. So, but as you see, I keep it very minimal. I got a sponge filter in the back. That's the new dead up leaf, some dennerle. I got almond leaf in there, cholla wood, a little bit of moss, and that's all I do. Now, I also talked about the royal blues. This is my royal blue tank. I know you can start seeing them there, but it's basically all you see is like the dots on their eyes. And so, all right, guys. Well, if you want, leave a comment in the section here. Tell me what you want to talk about next week. I appreciate everybody that subscribed and became a member on here. Please reach out to me. Papa Shrimp, reach out to me too. I want to thank you guys. I've been on for an hour. Thank you, Rob, for promoting my page as well. And I'll catch you on the flip side, just like Flip says. All right, guys.